A 7-colour Sunday lunch is as much a staple for South Africans as brais are. But on occasions like Father's Day, you perhaps are feeling the pressure to step it up just a little bit. Now that's where Set the Table comes in. It's a new app that links you up with a network of chefs who cater and provide a dining experience. Let's find out more now from the app's creator, Simosethu Mdladla, and she's also brought along with her contributing chef, Mpho Motaung. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us this morning. As you can tell, food is one of my favorite things. The crew has never seen me this excited before 10 o'clock in the morning. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Sundays are a time for togetherness, especially in our South African communities. Across the board, Sundays is a time just to take a break, take a breather from the tough week behind us. And a big part of that togetherness is our love and our heritage around food. But I do feel like South Africa's taken it up a notch with the types of food that we're willing to make, the things that the younger generations are experimenting with. What made you think that now was the time, Simo, to bring in an app that connects those who perhaps don't really want to take on that pressure in the kitchen, especially for special occasions? Talk to us about the inspiration behind Set the Table.
Well, firstly, I think it stemmed from lockdown. That's where people realized that they don't like cooking as much as they thought they did.
And the dishes.
Yeah, the dishes, restaurants were closed. Set the Table started as a delivery of food company, and then it grew to what it is today, which is the app. I think the main reason I built the app was because chefs work so hard, and sometimes the industry doesn't pay as well as it should. And I wanted to bring a platform where chefs can control their own income, their own time, and also obviously make it easy for clients to find a chef. Also the fact that I had a lot of, do you have a chef for me for this? Can I find a chef for that? Can I find a chef for that? And I decided to create a hub where it's easy for chefs and clients to find a chef.
And I suppose it was a perfect time because the traditional restaurant industry was in crisis during lockdown. So there were a lot of people in the industry, especially chefs who perhaps weren't in work at the time. And then you had the need of the client base who couldn't go to restaurants and perhaps were getting tired of making the same old bolognese every Tuesday and tacos on a Wednesday and that kind of thing. What's the reaction been, and where has most of your interest come from? Is it from all kinds of households in Gauteng? Where has some of your interest come from?
I think, mostly households. It's mostly private dinners like the birthdays. If you want to host something romantic for your partner, that's usually where the interest is from. Yeah, that's what I would say. And
what's been the reaction? Because, you know, we can be very particular about food and say, listen, I asked you for a pasta Alfredo, and this is not how I make it. How have you navigated some of those intricacies?
I think because the app allows the client to really specify what they want. We haven't found that the client is unsatisfied as yet. Obviously, it's still growing because it's new, and we will find those customers that have their own way that they like to do things. But I think the chefs are... I think as a chef, you're always willing to grow and take the advice from a client. So... basically, my answer is we haven't come across that as yet. Okay. Yes.
People are just so thankful that they're eating somebody else's food, right?
And it's convenient.
Absolutely. Yes. Now, talk to us about some of the chefs. One of your contributing chefs is here with us, Mpho Motaung. How do you go about choosing, before I speak to Mpho, how do you go about choosing your chefs and vetting them and then putting them up on your app?
Because I wanted the app to be very inclusive, I wanted young startup chefs to be able to get work. I'm not very specific, but obviously there has to be a level of skill that needs to go into. We want to provide great service. So what we do is the app, when you apply in the app, it comes to us as a team and we vet from your pictures. We also need to make sure that you are a qualified chef because it's for specifically qualified chefs. So that's the vetting system that we use. So we look at your pictures and your qualification.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Mpho, let's talk to the woman of the hour because she's the one that's made the food.
Hey.
Mpho, tell us your food story. How did you end up going into the world of chefing?
Well, To be honest, it started in grade 10 when I did consumer studies as a subject, and then after that, after matric, I went to international hotel school in Sunny Hill, and then it's been an amazing journey since then.
And if you go to a place like a hotel school, the options are endless. Why did you decide specifically you wanted to actually work hands-on with food?
Because honestly speaking, I get bored very easily. So like, I always want to make sure that I try my best to be as creative as I can. So with food, like, the kitchen is really my happy place. Like, long story short, the kitchen is my happy place.
And what's been some of your inspiration? What led you to love food and to have a kitchen as your happy place? What are some of your influences in the food world?
Well, in terms of influence, my dad likes cooking, number one.
Amazing.
And my little brother as well likes cooking. So we'll usually like cook in the house, and then she'll go, no, can I help you cook? Can I help you cook?
Yeah.
So with that as well, his excitement just also like motivates me to just keep doing more. So.
Now, we started at the beginning of talking about 7 colors, but South African food is so much more than just that. But I always feel like when you're cooking in your mother or your father's house, there's a specific way you should do it. And if you do anything different, like add cumin where she doesn't normally add cumin, my mum is always like, oh, that's exotic. Or that's different. That's not. Or, you know, a lot of aunties like to add sugar to carrots and that kind of thing. How do you navigate that space when you're with your family, seeing as you're now this professional chef in the family?
Well, the secret is, as long as they don't see you put it in, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they don't see you put the sugar in the tomatoes or whatever, then they're going to enjoy the taste anyway.
Now,
so,
talk to us about how you came across Set the Table and the work being done by Simo and her team. Why did you decide that this is a space that perhaps you could navigate?
Because I'm a private chef. Right, aside Set the Table. I was on Instagram the other day, and then when they started the Instagram page, she followed me and I followed her back, and I was like, oh, okay. And then she sent me a DM immediately after that. I'm like, oh, okay, hi. And then
she slid into your DMs.
She slid into my DMs. And then after that, she was just helping me sign up and all that stuff. And then after that, we'll be getting like the requests on email. She did tell me that. Yeah,
so it's almost like Tinder, but with food.
It's like an Uber for food.
Oh, an
like
Uber.
Also,
So explain to us how it works. So Set the Table gets a request for a chef. They decide, perhaps, do you decide then who do you think this is a fit for?
No,
or how does it work?
How it works is it's literally like Uber for chefs.
Okay.
So you go on, you have a list of chefs that you look through. Whoever tickles your fancy, you click book. You pick your date and time, what you want, or if you're not sure, you could say surprise me, and then your address, and then you send the request. The chef gets the request, quotes you, and if you're happy with the quote, you can pay right on the app.
Oh, wow.
Or you could ask for a revision, and they can revise the quote, send it to you until you're happy. And then you pay for it, and then the chef is booked, just like that.
And that's pretty slick. And now tell us, I didn't request the food today, but I think people's mouths are watering. They want to know what's in front of them. What have you prepared for us today, Mpho?
all right, what I have for you here is roasted tomato soup, roasted tomato soup with garnish is basil and garlic bread. The reason why I used tomatoes is because it's everyday ingredients, or tomato and onions as well. It's we use these ingredients every single day. So you just roast them and then
and
just
it's so
put
comforting,
it
isn't it?
You know,
best.
so and it's winter also, so I figured, you know, let me
with
be
a grilled
homely
cheese sandwich on the side.
you know, like, and then what I have here is pom puree. Well, it's a fancy word for mash. Sorry.
Okay.
And
Say it again.
Pom puree.
Pom puree. Well, there you go. You can show off at home.
You know, and lamb chops with the honey balsamic glaze. And then since it's Sunday, I added some wine because, I mean, we all want to chill, you know.
Absolutely.
And
before you move on, how do you navigate when you're preparing chops, for instance? Because everybody likes their chops a different kind of way. For instance, my mother likes the meat dead, whereas I like a little bit of pink. And I know chefs like the heart still to be beating and the blood still be running out of it. How do you navigate that when you're on a job?
Well, you know, as much as people want like the meat to be dead, but when it's prepared by chef, when you have it like a little bit pink, trust me, they always love it.
Absolutely.
They always love it.
So you just encourage them in the right
direction?
direction?
Yeah, in the right direction, you know. Next thing, they'll just bite the cow.
Just bite the cow?
Yeah, just bite
you should put that on the T-shirt. Okay, what do you have there? You've got a nice stew there.
Yes, I have a nice hearty stew here with jeera rice. It's an Indian rice, so you just literally cinnamon stick and star anise and some butter, and then you're good to go. And yeah, so I also used stew because we all
And is it a beef stew? What kind of stew is it?
It's a beef stew. It's a beef
All right.
stew. Yeah, so I added potatoes, I added baby marrow just to be a little bit fancy, some bay leaves, and yeah, that's it. Just put it on the pot, and then you're good to go. And then my last dish is roasted mushroom and garlic soup. Again, just like this one, it's mushrooms just to be fancy also, you know, like, and some bread to go with the soup.
But those are all hits that you've given us. There's no way, especially on a cold Joburg night, there's no way people won't say no thank you to
Exactly.
that. I mean,
exactly.
basically leave the table and say, okay, thanks for your work. We're going to go and sleep now.
You know, and it's Father's Day, so, you know, you just have to be homely and...
Absolutely. Well, there's the inspiration for the nation. Some lamb chops, some beef stews, some roasted tomato soup, some roasted mushroom soup. You really can't go wrong. Ladies, thank you so much. We've run out of time. The crew's mouths are watering watching us talk about this non-stop. So it is time for us to say goodbye. Chef Mpho Motaung, she is a chef. She's a contributing chef to the new app called Set the Table that's been created by Simosethu Mdladla, who's both been here in the studio with us. And I'm sure people can go onto Instagram. They can just find Set the Table. Set the Table .app, or they can find Simosethu Mdladla on online as well, and you can find out more. There you have it. If not perhaps for today, it might be a little bit too late, but for the coming weeks, winter is ahead, and if you do want a break from the kitchen, now you know where you can find some help. So we thank them so much for their time and their inspiration this morning.